Hello there, everybody! Welcome back to the podcast.
Hello, people.
You sound very
Is that
you sound very enthusiastic for this.
Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the podcast. Is that better?
I mean, we are doing this at like 10 o'clock at night, so...
And there's a baby next door, so I got to be...
yeah, there's that as well, isn't there? That's on all the way. Ladies
Is
and
it true?
gentlemen, I'm using a
Is it-
new microphone for this podcast, so if the sound is different, we do apologise in advance.
Yes, and if it sounds any worse, I'll tell Kane to get the fuck back to his old microphone.
For the podcasts only, or for everything else? No, I'm looking at the levels and it's definitely being picked up clearer. I should have paid attention to that on the last attempt, to be fair. But on screen right now we have this fucking monstrosity, the crossover poster. I don't like it very much. Dylan is annoyed that we're discussing this again as well, by the way, I should point out. Has he cut out already? We are...
Nope.
I was about
Nope,
to say,
I haven't.
we're only a minute in and you've already cut out.
Remember, I'm on the phone that doesn't crash, but doesn't pick me up as So yeah.
Yeah, but we've got the Elseworlds thing on the screen. I should point out that since our first attempt, I have seen a few more images. I'm not put any more at ease. I'm just going to say that. That's all I'm saying on those images.
Well, do you agree? Grant does look natural, doesn't he?
He looks natural. I've said before he looks natural. But, like, this whole thing with, like, Stephen Amell being in it when he's not really clean-shaven anyway. I've got to take off this pop filter, I'm sorry. Because otherwise it's just, like... Jesus. I'll put it back on a bit, like it's on the majority of the way. There goes Dylan from this podcast, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, bye. Have a great time.
But, no, I've put it
don't
back
worry,
on all the way.
Don't worry, people.
I've put it back
Don't
on.
worry, people. Oh,
I've put it back on
Alright.
all the way and hoping for the best, but, I really...
don't worry, ladies and gentlemen. I won't leave you alone with this madman.
You're one to talk.
I know, right?
Have you seen the state of your family and everything that's happened? You're very much hypocritical to be calling me a madman.
I didn't call your family mad, though, did I? I just called you. So,
I'm saying you're a hypocrite because you're more mad than I am.
but you, that's over.
No, but let's move on to this poster though. Grant looks natural, but I'm not sure about Stephen. And you could argue that he's being featured a bit more prominently on that poster.
But the Flash always is.
Yeah, I don't like this. I'm sorry, this is not... I'm not liking the look of that. But, here's something I will move on to, because, like, there's not really much to say on it, apart from I don't like it, I'm not really motivated for the crossover.
From a distance, Stephen does look good.
From a distance,
Doesn't.
if he were clean-shaven, then yeah, he'd be fine. But,
Even close up, he could.
well, from a distance he looks fine. I want to ask you a couple of questions about the Titans TV show. Which I'm going to guess you have not watched.
I have 5 hours left.
Okay, seriously, could you move on to the other phone? Please.
I've got to cup it like this in a special way then. Okay, this better, yeah?
Yeah, because otherwise I'm barely hearing you, and this is going to be a very shit attempt at a podcast that we'll need to do again tomorrow.
I can't move onto my other phone now because it will crash. It will crash. Cannot move over here.
Well, only if you leave the screen open.
No. Remember last time? That went off nothing.
No, last time we attempted this, it didn't crash. It was my audio that was the problem.
Well, I need my other phone. Anyway,
Yeah, so I'm guessing you've not watched the new Titans show, have you?
No.
Um,
I have 5 hours. I have 5 hours.
you have 5 hours of... You have what? Seriously, move over to the other one. Like...
The fuck? I didn't say this one. I was waiting for you to finish saying what you're saying. You're saying 5 hours of
Yeah, you
with
cut out
5 hours
halfway
of
through.
what? I have 5 hours to watch it in.
You could have watched it before. But, so the first 2 episodes are out. And,
Yes. I know. We'll do that as a separate podcast tomorrow, like a 15-20 minute one. And ladies and gentlemen, if you want to know what I think of it, go to the video that'll come out like a day after this one at some point in the future, maybe 2 years.
Okay, I'll give you a brief rundown of it, and we can, like, do it in the lead up on Tuesdays, Wednesdays as well.
Don't you dare. Don't you dare.
No, I'm going to give you, like, a brief run of the tone and what I think of the characters and shit.
Synopsis, no spoilers. No spoilers.
No, I'm not discussing anything spoilery. We can do that in, like, a lead up on Wednesday.
Good.
It's actually a lot more decent than I thought, but then again, it did not do very well with a lot of its marketing material.
Well, it did. But for you, it did do very good in one marketing
In one
part
line.
for you. Fuck Batman.
Yeah, they've actually kept that line in, which I was pleasantly surprised by.
Shocked.
Because I want to ask you though. I might send this off to an editor for a video bit, so we'll try and keep this to about 5 to 10 minutes. What do you think of Batman saying that line? Sorry, Robin saying that line in this.
Nightwing.
Pardon?
Nightwing says it, remember?
No, it's Robin. He is actually Robin in this.
But people said that he meets Robin. Wait, does Batman replace him that quickly? Fucking hell.
So
Fucking hell.
So
Fucking hell,
apparently Brendan Thwaites, who plays Robin, has said in an interview that he has left Batman because Batman has become a killer. Remind you of anyone? So he has gone off to what I think is going to be the very first sort of introduction stages to becoming Nightwing. I should say, watching it, he is very much the reluctant type of hero now. Like, he is not doing this because he 100% believes in it.
Ah.
Which
I
you
know
do
that.
And you've cut out.
Oh, fuck that. I know what happened to one of the 2 characters in episode.
I won't ask which character because I think that'll involve spoilers, so I'll save that for Wednesday.
Yeah, it will.
But no, so Robin has basically gone off to be what is an anti-hero, which I should say for the first time. One of the main reasons I'm enjoying it so far is because for once they're actually showing Robin to be...
Oh, you're actually enjoying something.
Let me explain. So they've actually made Robin to be this very decent fighter, and because he is a lot more violent in this than you normally see him in. But also, even though he's like in line to quote unquote replace Batman, when he does eventually move on, retire or whatever, logically, by the way, we know this. I know this doesn't happen in the comics, so I'll just put that out there. I do know that it's someone else who does it. You could argue that. Well, he's got the combat skills. I should mention, it's not really a spoiler because it's not a major plot point, but he is actually working as a detective in the Detroit Police Department. So it implies that he is in, like, his early 20s at least. Like, I'd say he's...
He is.
Like, a minimum, the character is 23. And apparently Batman has sort of become a killer, which...
21 at least.
21 at least.
Yeah, that's usually that's America. Remember, it's usually enough time because our university is their college, so they would do a university course when they're 18 to 21.
Yeah, so he's at the very least 21.
His age.
Yeah.
Yeah. They always do that. Like Grant. Grant's actually 1 year younger than. Barry in the show is he 1 year old? It's almost 1 year older than Grant is.
Here's the thing, though. If you look at Titans and you look at the way that Dick Grayson is acting, people say, well, it's pretty much known that he is the heir to Batman's legacy, but he doesn't want to be part of that. And combatively, he is basically the closest version you will get to that character being replaced. That you probably wouldn't notice a difference. But arguably, as a detective, he never was, and that would have been Tim Drake in that department. And so I'm feeling like he's going off on his own into the Detroit Police Department as a detective because he wants to basically become better at doing the detective work. Like, he's fine as a combatant, but even then, like, he's never really been shown as 100% competent of a fighter. Like, if you watch one of the animated DC movies, he does fight Batman when he has been brainwashed. And
Really?
you see him get rolled over so easily, and then people who are comic fans or who know that this is the first Robin, this is the most experienced, he's washed over, so he's basically beaten up so easily. I'm just like, well, arguably he's not really able to replace Batman then, which in itself is not really a good move. So they're finally making him out to be a very competent fighter, but they've also combined his nature as an acrobat into that as well. Whereas normally they don't really do that. Like, they'll show him being able to leap quite far. Like, he's got springy legs and shit, but normally he's not really shown to utilize that skill. Anyway, I've got a theory for you.
Oh.
Okay, so the tone of this show, it's very dark, and there is apparently, it's not 100% confirmed by Greg Berlanti, who's producing the show, who's writing for it, that Batman is a killer. But if Batman in this is a killer, is this taking place in the DCEU? Okay, I'm going to explain my reasoning here. So,
No, it can't be. Do you know why?
why?
Warner Brothers, who own DC, have already said shows take place in a different universe than in films.
Okay, well, this is a show that's going directly to a DC streaming service, which arguably the DCEU is an Elseworld story anyway. Like, it's not on the main Earth continuity.
What isn't?
Like, the DC films arguably aren't main continuity DC. They're arguably an Elseworld story, which is probably why you're seeing a lot of differences in some of the characters. For instance, Batman in that universe being a killer, that is happening because it's Elseworld story, and this is an Elseworld story that coincidentally happens to have that very major detail being the same.
Maybe.
Anyway, my theory is that because Batman is like, he's in his 40s by the time the DCEU begins and we see him for the first time.
Yeah.
Dick Grayson is like roughly the age where this could happen. And I should point out that people are probably going to say, well, Kanan, there's a major hole in your theory. There's a dead Robin in this universe, which, by the way, it's never been confirmed who that is. Because
Jason Todd!
Yeah, so if it is... So, there is a Jason Todd confirmed in the show, I will say that. But my theory is that he could be appearing in flashbacks. And maybe Batman is as violent as he is because he's not taken on Tim Drake as a third Robin yet.
Yeah. Maybe.
Is that all you're going to say?
There's also another problem.
What?
Well, there's
You need to move closer to your mic.
The other problem is well, you think we're going to see Ben Affleck, yeah? If it is the same universe, you think Ben Affleck is going to pop up in Titans at some point, yeah?
Ben Affleck has like retired from Batman, and I think we know that.
Yes, exactly. So,
but also, like, I'm not really talking about anything to do with actor here. I'm talking about purely the characters.
It's like a recast, yeah, like with like the Incredible Hulk of his 2008 movie being even though it's a different actor, it's the same, like literally the same character version as in Ragnarok and stuff like that.
Yeah. So
same recast, yeah.
Yeah, so if it's done as a recast, which arguably the Batman film that Matt Reeves is directing is meant to take place with a younger Batman anyway, That's being done long before you get to the point where the DC film universe is now. And arguably, because this show fits that kind of dark tone that we've seen for the Batman character in that so far, there is definitely a link there. So my theory is that we see Jason Todd in these flashbacks, and basically they're showing flashbacks where he and Dick will have crossed paths, and then in the present timeline that Titans is in, Jason Todd is dead. Like, he is 100% dead, by the way. He has hit the fan, he's been squelched, he's been blown up to Kingdom Come. Like, he is 100% dead until he gets dipped in a Lazarus pit by Ra's al Ghul.
Ra's al Ghul.
It can be pronounced either way.
Point.
So, basically, like, I'm thinking that if Jason Todd is in these flashback scenes, Bruce Wayne is in that violent sort of position because he was in the comics before he took on Tim Drake as Robin. Because I know in the comics, when Batman is violent, Tim Drake notices this. Don't ask me how, because he's a fucking kid. Why is he even staying up at the hours that Batman is out anyway? So he goes to Tim Drake and says, you need to become Robin again, and Robin, in order to help Batman, and he's just like, no, I won't. I'm done with Batman. Fuck Batman. Yes, I've just made the reference. And so...
You don't say.
I do say, sir. Do you say?
I do say, sir.
I knew you'd bring that up. Basically, like... I feel that we would probably see a Tim Drake at some point in the show. And this will be after he's got the Nightwing costume, because I think he's meant to make, or at the very least, get that costume while this show is going on. It has been confirmed for season 2, by the way. I should point that out. So
yeah, I find that weird. They confirmed it for season 2 before season 1. What?
It's doing really well so far. I can understand why a lot of hardcore comic book fans are not behind it.
Say that again.
I understand why a lot of hardcore comic fans, or like, you know, the cartoon show, like the Teen Titans cartoon show from, I think it was like 2001, aren't behind this, because arguably it's not really meant to tailor to that audience.
No, because there's one difference. Yeah, this is called Titan.
Well, yeah, there's that.
Well, in the comics you do get Teen Titans and Titan, 2 different groups.
Yeah, I'm going to hang on to the theory that this is the same Elseworld story universe as the DCEU, which I think is entirely possible because Dick Grayson is certainly at the age where that could be where Tim Drake will show up in the show to try and convince him to go back to being Robin. And he's going to say, no, fuck off, you go become Robin. So that's my theory.
And he just says, fuck. No. If he says it again, though, that'd be amazing.
I wouldn't be surprised if he did say it again, though, but I think that comes down to like a very large difference in opinion. Because
Imagine this. He's dressed in this early before he's officially Nightwing.
He's only using the Robin costume, but he's using it really reluctantly. Like, he wants so little to do that he considers for a split second in the second episode, this isn't spoilery related, he considers for a split second ringing Bruce Wayne. He's just like, nah, fuck it, and just doesn't.
Looks at the phone, do I ring it? Fuck Batman.
He doesn't say it, but like the emotion is clear in his face that I don't think he actively completely hates Batman completely. I think there is a part of
Just
love.
kidding.
I think a part of Dick Grayson does love Bruce Wayne because he brought him up, he took him in. But I think he hates what Batman has allegedly become in this universe, which I think definitely makes sense. Because there is a dead Robin in the DCEU.
Well, think about it this way. So obviously Batman was good, and he's become a killer.
Yeah.
Some good killing people with. worse.
I mean, Robin's definitely got much more.
I have failed you, Anakin. I have failed you.
It is kind of like that though, but Robin in this is
Imagine
arguably.
that. It's over, Batman. I have to high ground.
Um,
If they make that reference, I'm gonna fucking scream.
okay, so basically, like in this, Robin is arguably like a much more competent fighter than he's ever shown to be in anything else. I think arguably any version of Robin is not shown to be really competent or brilliant enough in terms of combat to replace Batman until now, because arguably that role is more for comic relief.
Except they're obviously wanting to show him become Nightwing, yeah? Like you said, early stage, over time will become Nightwing. Well, Nightwing himself is a good fighter, so it makes sense.
Yeah, Nightwing's a good fighter, but arguably he was never really at a level where he could replace Batman, because in a way he was always a character who was more willing to do things like crack jokes in battle sometimes, because he did somewhat have that mentality. He wasn't the same kind of always focus on the mission sort of thing. He wasn't as brooding as the Batman character is.
He was basically the Barry and the Wally of the Bat family.
Arguably, yeah, but certainly if you relate it to the CW Arrowverse, but also with Robin in this being as competent of a fighter as he is, he's arguably a lot more competent than ever shown as Nightwing before, because he doesn't really hold back. He is extremely violent. He's scraping a guy's face along smashed glass of a car. I did not hear that.
What, Dick is?
Yeah, Dick does that as Robin. So he's
I don't know. I don't deal with Batman anymore. He's killing people. Let me just fucking scrape this guy's head across a fucking wall and car. But I don't like Batman because he kills people. Even though I just.
I mean, arguably in any traditional law, Batman's a killer anyway, because he can beat people up so badly that they could then later die of.
Yes.
So arguably he's a killer anyway, and so Robin in this universe has learned to have that much more violent combat style because he has grown up and he's been trained by someone who has largely sort of lost the plot, really. He has become a lot more violent as is.
Do you think we mention this in Titans, they turn Batman into Joker?
I mean, like, arguably, well, I don't think they'll go that far, like, but I also don't really, like, to me, like, I never found Batman appealing as a character for many reasons, but I always enjoyed, like, the Dick Grayson version of Robin. And seeing him in this, I'm glad that they're finally painting him out to be a lot more competent of a fighter. I feel this one could probably take on Batman and win, whereas any other version of Robin or Nightwing that's portrayed by Dick Grayson...
Yeah, because in this version, Batman would be drunk out of his head.
No, not just because of that, though, but because any other version of Dick Grayson could arguably beat Batman to a stalemate or hold him off long enough and get away. He'd only win by fighting dirty. But this version could probably win against Batman in a fair fight, because he's got that sort of skill, but he's also a lot more willing to use his acrobatic stunts and stuff, because he has grown up in that background and he's a lot more experienced at pulling off those moves that will throw Batman off course. So I think in this version,
it's because he's a pansy boy, really. No.
But so those are my thoughts.
Damn.
Yeah, so we've been going on about this for a lot longer than I thought. We're like 24 minutes in.
Let's give it 5-10 minutes. About 17 minutes later.
It's about like 15 minutes, so I'll probably send it off to an editor. If I do, it doesn't matter. But so let's move on to the episode then. Because I should say that I've not watched anything to do with it since Tuesday, because I fucking hated it. Like, at least in comparison to episode 1. I'm with the critics on this. Like, this is not the best Flash episode ever. Which, that's not really saying something, actually.
Would you still say it's better than all season 4?
I'd say it's better than season 4, but it's probably going to be one of the lowest points of this season to have that second episode when what you really need is for this season to hit the ground running and keep running until you are clearing the wind that you could possibly afford a few slip-ups. And probably one of the biggest in this episode was Cisco. Like, I fucking hated Cisco in this episode.
Partial second.
No, I won't go into this too much because, like, it's just a constant thing for me now that I don't really enjoy, but, like, I don't like moaning about the show, believe it or not. But,
No.
yeah, but, the version of Cisco we got in this was horrible because it doesn't really fit his character at all. Like, I know he's trying to get through a breakup, but normally, can we not just have that for a scene at the end or one or two scenes, like small scenes where you can afford to have that? Episode 2, having an entire character's plotline for that episode devoted to that is not very good after the shitstorm of season 4, which everyone hated for a very big for a lot of reasons. Like, it's probably more hated than Arrow season 4.
Yes.
Because, like, I can see why Arrow season 4 is hated, don't get me wrong, but Flash probably has more reasons to be hated in terms of that show's 4th season anyway.
Remember though, by the end of it, Grant ended up looking very unenthusiastic about it all, didn't he, by the end of the season?
That doesn't help, but for this season, I can definitely see Grant has enthusiasm, which I don't really think is so much of a problem. I forgot to mention this as well, because I said this last episode, but we're recording, obviously. Jessica Kennedy Parker is fucking 34. Like,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, because I told you I did not expect that. Like, she seemed a lot younger. Like, she could pass off for, like, 25 or something, but nope, she's apparently 34.
22, 23, I'd say.
Yeah, like, I don't know, but she passes off for a lot fucking younger than she is. Because you had a nice little fact about her last time. You want to give us that fact?
Yeah, so I think the best segue into it. It was a bit silly now, but yeah, people are pointing out that with other projects, specifically Black Sails,
Yeah,
there
it's
was
called Black Sails.
some. Well, like that. There was some good scenes for research purposes.
We've got that in massive quotation marks, by the way. Do you want to say what kinds of scenes those were? Because I'm not saying it.
More the hubba kind of scenes, as people say.
The what kind of scenes, sorry?
I got it from The Simpsons, which you don't know what that is, for that sake. Other people understand it though, you fucking idiot. The whole hubba.
Basically, they're like nude sex scenes. I'm just like, why are you looking at those for research? Why are you looking at those for research?
I think sex scene. I'm pretty sure it's just nudes, not sex scenes, you idiot.
Regardless of what they are, how the fuck is that research? Apart from someone who is clearly not getting any sex on the producing or research team, and so has decided to just go looking for that kind of thing.
Don't like Kanan. We all know you do it.
I don't.
You do.
No, I don't.
Nah, you must prefer Neil Sandilands, right?
What? I have no fucking clue what you're on about.
I said you'd much prefer Neil Sandilands, the voice actor.
You're a fucking idiot. I hate you.
Why, thank you.
You're welcome.
Very accurate. It's very accurate, isn't it?
No, it isn't.
Oh yeah, by the way, when you hung up last night, I was like, knew he'd do that because of pun. Moving on, anyway.
Yeah, moving on. So, Like,
Oh, yeah, she's 3 years young. She's 3 years younger than my mum.
well then.
Right.
But
Yes.
yeah, the worst parts of the episode for me, I'll skim over these. Were Cisco, Cecile, and Ralph again. Well, Ralph was in the middle for me again because, like, arguably he was once again doing a bit too much in terms of the comic relief.
But he was going to make up with Cisco. I mean, while he was a bit too. I'll be honest, it's very accurate when I've gone through breakups. It sounds an idiot, but I don't fucking care. You've heard me moping before when I've had breakups.
I've heard you moping, but I think the difference is for me is that like
It's a TV show.
Ralph is trying too hard in a way, and like this was a pointless story arc anyway. Like I get they're trying to fit it into
Like your
Caitlyn.
life.
Pardon?
Like your life.
Seriously, could you move over to the other fucking phone? I don't care if it crashes and you cut out briefly, but Jesus.
No, I'm not risking it. I'll keep my fucking mouth close to it then. Neil, I said, like your life then, yeah?
You're an arsehole.
Pointless. A pointless story arc.
Well, no, arguably though, the story arc was pretty much pointless because it didn't feel needed for me, which I think causes a lot of problems because I get that they're trying to blend it into Caitlyn's storyline for the season, but it's just like, no, just don't.
Oof.
Well, because it just doesn't match Cisco's character. Like, he does not mope like this. He is completely different to this. And I get in this that they're trying to show that, oh, he's going through the breakup because it's immediately after last season. I have no issue with that. But I just don't feel that it should have been done to the extent that it was.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
Well, because arguably it was just done too much.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, those three characters were probably the worst in this.
I'm surprised though, because last time, Caitlyn, this time, Cecile. What changed your mind?
No, I enjoyed Caitlyn a lot in both episodes because, like, she didn't get much to do in the first one, but they were setting up her storyline for the first few episodes. And, yeah, I think that says a lot.
Wait,
Pardon?
I was remembering we said this on the podcast last time. I did the episode names, right? Last time.
You did the what things?
The episode names on the podcast, right? I did that last week. And we did this week when we did this the first time. I think I said them right.
You said there was one called
Okay, episode 1 is Nora. Episode 2 is
Blocked.
Episode 3 is the Death of Vibe. Number 4 is Spin, I think. Number 5 is okay, once going to serve. Apparently though, episode 7's titles come out. Apparently it's called Come All Ye Faithful, which sounds Christmassy.
Okay, well, I think there was one called, like, Icicle or something in there at some point.
Okay, number 4 is Newsflash. The 5 is all dolled up. Number 6 is The Icicle Cometh.
Yeah, the Icicle cometh. No, like, I'm just here, like, I get they're trying to set up a storyline. I don't really have a problem with that. But to make another character suffer at for that, which we had a lot of that in season 4 anyway, and a lot of people are very probably still unhappy with how that turned out, and they're still very reluctant to keep watching this so far. I'm certainly not 100% back on board. Like, yes, the first episode was a good start. Second episode has really made me reconsider again. So unless we get a solid couple of episodes in a row, I'm gonna have to consider, like, just not watching until, like, right before we do the podcast, in case there are any delays on the days we do that. And arguably just looking at the most important clips. Because a lot of Cisco's stuff in this episode...
Then Yeah, but then you can't do a good review, can you? There's no point in doing a review first. So
I'd probably have to go and like look at the fan reviews on IMDb first, like audience reviews, and see is this really worth watching, because a lot of people are giving the show a lot of grief now after season 4. Like, yeah, you've got hardcore fans who are still giving it 10s, but they don't really know how to give a structured review. So the structured reviews on there I look at
so people like you, right?
No, because like I do watch them enough and I can give a structured review. I think my point now being is that since their writing for Cisco was so bad, and arguably still could be, or for any character, I'm wondering, would I want to keep watching if they keep changing the characters who aren't true to themselves? It was bad enough when it was just Iris, because like there was a lot of times or a lot of small scenes where I thought this character has a lot of potential. The reason I hate her and I hate Candace and I hate the writing is because they're not trying any. Well, they're basically not making any effort. Which is probably a lot of the
What? Ken, shush. Once again, you're being an idiot saying you hate Candace. Okay, let me put it this way: the prequels, Star Wars prequels, yes.
Yep.
People hate them because of Anakin, yeah.
Yeah.
But then go to other films, he can actually act. Same as for Candace, you moron.
Well, there is like a lot of people who say, and I will say this in defense of myself, that Hayden Christensen acted out Anakin Skywalker perfectly. I agree a lot of the writing was very cringy for him in episode 1. I won't deny that, but the reason is he was a kid, he was 9. So, of course, it was going to be very cringy.
That's not Hayden Christensen, that's Jake Lloyd.
I know Jake Lloyd played him in episode 1. Okay, I'm aware. But, I do think that I've got... But, yeah, so... Shall we move on to the good of the episode? Because I feel like I've been a bit too miserable so far.
Matches your personality, then, don't it?
Oh, fuck you.
No, thank you. I'm sorry, Ken. I told you. I am straight. I'm not like curious. Nothing. You just stop saying to fuck me.
Yeah, well, you're a twat. Simple as. You're a twat and an asshole.
Thank you very much.
You are very welcome. I've also put my microphone down on top of a Pringles tube. Of all things.
I almost just choked on sticky rib noodles. Thanks a lot.
No, it's because I'm getting tired of holding it in my hand, so I've got to try and like maneuver it into a.
But you have experience of holding things in your hand, right?
Oh, fuck you! I'm a virgin.
I'm sorry. I am straight.
I am a virgin, and your jokes are terrible.
You don't say.
I do say, sir. Why do you think I wouldn't go out with you even if you were bisexual or gay? Because you've got such shit jokes. Truthfully, I'm surprised you've got a girlfriend from House now. I kid you not.
That's how you're fine. That's how you say you're fine, but you're not with. No.
No, so I'll move on with you though to Barry and Nora in this. Like, what did you think of that? Dylan.
Is that last bit again? Is that last bit again?
Yeah, we're moving on to Barry and Nora for the episode. What did you think of them?
Oh my love! When he was getting the typical annoyed parent thing.
He got like the whole being a parent lesson from Joe, which was a good scene, but arguably it's all he's contributed to this fucking show in 2 seasons.
Joe actually did quite a lot last season, ish.
Not that was memorable though. Nothing memorable.
How dare he? Remember how? Remember how he showed that that even a normal human can withstand Devi. Remember, Devi was trying to make him shoot himself, and Joe literally just fought back against him and won. You fucking twat.
Like I said, nothing memorable because I probably had stopped watching by that point.
Yeah, probably because you're a twat.
Plus, we'd seen the same thing with Grodd the season before, so I wasn't really excited for that aspect anyway.
Barry had to actually had to stop it though. This time, Joe himself fought against the vote.
I'm like, it's because I'm just extremely reluctant, I think, to want to give this show too much in the way of optimism after what we did get last season. But Barry and Nora, Jessica Kennedy Parker and Grant have really great chemistry together. I will say that now.
I agree.
Like, let's be honest, those two have brilliant chemistry.
Yes. Oh God, that one. What's the last time? People on Instagram or Reddit or YouTube or something, I can't remember where, said that they hope, like, if Iris dies, they hope that Barry and Nora would get together. It's like
we said last time, and like I said,
this is not Alabama. Sweet home Alabama. Love coming home to you.
Sweet home Alabama. No, but in all
seriousness, Canaan. Okay, we were talking about hillbillies, yeah. Sweet home Alabama.
No, but
loud and coming home to you.
Realistically, though, people are idiots. That's all I'm gonna say on that. It's disgusting and it's illegal. That's all I feel like I need to say. Yeah. But we've actually finally got us singing a fucking duet on the podcast. So there's something for you. Anyway, what did you think of the chemistry they have together in this?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
There we go. Would you say that's the first time or something like that? You said
the first time we've got us singing a duet on the podcast.
Oh Lord, yes. There'll be more of those. There'll be more of those in the future, people.
Probably. Next time we'll try and do a song we both know the lyrics to. Yeah.
What can I say except you're welcome? I don't know the rest of them.
I don't.
I'm just an ordinary demiguy.
Anyway, moving on. What did you think of like Nora and Barry in this episode?
Nah, they work well together. It does come. You could almost believe that she is. You could almost believe that it's real and that she is his future daughter.
You could. I think probably because of how I saw that last episode is probably why I thought Jessica Kennedy Parker is a lot younger than she is. But no, I did say last time it's probably to do with them either being something like very good friends. It's possibly to do with them having like a sort of like surrogate brother-sister bond thing on set, or maybe they just get on really well. I don't fucking know. But so yeah, no, they do work well together. They do work well together, and it's convincing. What do you think of Nora's character so far, though, in this episode? Like, what do you think of the advancements in that?
I like that she started actually learning-ish. She actually started paying attention to what
I expected that to take place a lot sooner.
He's trying to learn her. He's trying to teach her.
I'm surprised they didn't do that a lot sooner in the episode, though, because I was expecting that to be like one of the first, well, certainly towards like the halfway point it came to as well, because that's certainly something.
Oh yeah.
So yeah. So basically, what I'm thinking, like, you know, she's a good character.
Yeah.
But well, she's about as mature as you and your mum, because she can be that petty at times. So. I mean, let's face it, it's true. She can be very petty in the way that she acts. Like, she always gives him this pouting look.
Why are you doing that, Dad?
No, realistically
It's not.
though,
It's not. It's not. Oh my god. Oh my. Oh my god.
being realistic though about this whole thing,
Okay, you know how she couldn't face with stuff, like she couldn't vibrate through stuff. Yeah.
yeah.
When she's trying to vibrate a plane, this is not a phase, Dad.
No, like I think I do love the chemistry they had together.
Yeah.
Which is
By the way, when you say about my mum being petty, still no reply.
still
2 days, 2 days, still no reply after 2 days.
She's a selfish bitch. So no, I'm somewhat glad that they're finally giving her some character advancement. My one concern is it going to be enough? Because she's carving out her kind of character and her personality well, but in terms of like giving her a stable story arc, and I get it's only the second episode, but can we try and make a bit more of an effort, because she's apparently meant to be in every episode.
Yeah.
So you need to get a fucking move on. Like, I don't want to wait until episode.
Oh, by the way, apparently there's only 22 seasons of this episode. 22 episodes a season.
Pardon?
22 seasons. I can't be. I thought you said. I fucking
on
said.
IMDb for this season and Arrow, there are apparently 23 episodes.
Yeah, but IMDb is done by fans. Remember, I've told you this before the season
No, they
started.
don't do the episodes. Fans don't do the episodes, I don't think. Like, that's official people. Ironically, Candice Patton actually went over to IMDb this week and spoke a bit about Iris and shit. No, I have not.
I guess you immediately hated it.
I didn't actually watch it or look at it. I'm just like, she just has that smile in the photo of him, just like, she really is just trying to make me think she's gonna murder me and my entire family in our sleep. I'm sorry, she just has one of those smiles. It's just like, this woman is not putting me at ease in the slightest.
Jesus Christ. It's extremely disrespectful.
Oh, you're allowed to talk.
No, I'm really not. I'm pretty much respectful to pretty much everyone.
Really. But no, like, I think it's taking a while to carve. It's taking longer than I'd like to carve out Nora's story. Like, in some ways, a lot of her stuff so far, you could, particularly in episode 2, has just been a bit of filler. Like, to pad out the runtime slightly. So I'm hoping in episode 3.
Yeah, it is a lot of filler to pad out. Like, basically, like, as much filler as needed to pad out your mum.
Dylan.
What?
Can we just get on with it? Because you asked me to do a host and not to announce it, but I've got to announce it now. Can we get on with the fucking podcast properly, please? I'm assuming you've just cut out or you're being silent.
What do you mean I didn't announce something? Like, I said not to announce something. I don't know what you're talking about.
I'll send a screen. I don't fucking know.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about, huh? What are you talking about?
I don't.
I think you're going a bit crazy. Anyway,
No, but
when you said about Iris, Candice Patton, do you? I still cannot believe you're like, oh, sleep.
She just has that kind of smile that does not put me at ease in the slightest. Call me paranoid, but
yes,
yeah.
you are very paranoid.
I'm not. I kind of set myself up for that one. No, like
Well,
a lot.
okay, when you say you hate a smile because you're extremely paranoid, is it like this kind of smile, basically?
You're gonna send me a thing, aren't you? It's just like it's so forced. Like hers is a lot more forced than whatever that is with your best impersonation of Puss in Boots' eyes.
Whose eyes?
Puss in Boots. But going back to the main point of the podcast, which we're talking about at current anyway. Why is it they're doing a lot of filler for Nora? Because she was arguably filler in season 4. Maybe a good half of, well, a good quarter of episode 1 for her was filler, and the majority of this episode was filler. The only thing she did was to do with Cicada, and we'll get to that later.
Oh yeah. And I was on a theory again.
Yeah, you need to give your theory again. But
by the way, I really recommend pot noodle sticky ribs. # not.
if you keep advertising things on this podcast and we ever get approached by people to do an advertisement, we're going to have fucking covered everyone, you twat.
Yeah, but this.
Anyway, if we could carry on.
So, I said one flavour. Yeah.
No, but, like, she hasn't really done
Oh,
much.
okay. Oh, finally. Yeah.
She hasn't really done much so far. Like, the whole coming in as Barry's intern thing,
Oh, yeah.
that seems forced. A lot of her scenes in this feel forced. Not due to the acting, it just feels like there's no real point to them. Which I could be wrong that they'll make up for that later on, but on first glance and first viewing, which is sort of what we're going off of here, a lot of it just feels like it's been forced in there. Like, the writing is okay for it. There's nothing wrong with that. It just feels like, well, we could be doing much more interesting stuff.
Yeah. Is it as forced as your hatred for your dad?
The hatred for my dad is not forced.
Good. It's good hate then. By the way, you can't talk for a second because I got to take a t-shirt off, and it would knock my headphones off. So don't take 5 seconds. Five, I'm back.
This is the shit I have to put up with when I'm on a podcast with you.
I'm getting. Well, I'll pass.
No, but realistically, I want to ask this before we move on. What do you think of the way they've, like, made Nora this slightly forced element within the show so far?
Well, it's natural. She's from the future. She's basically forcing herself in, isn't she?
I mean, like, do you think it's a good course of action given how fans responded to last season, though? Or do you feel like they need to be making more of an effort to give her more setup towards her storyline, more for the fans to actually want to speculate about her?
Well, she might only be forced during the card or the first half of the season. Is that being? Because remember, they'll be starting the.
I don't know, like, I kind of wish they weren't forcing it the way that they were, but we'll have to wait and see if all of it's being forced. Like, let's be honest, is anything going to come out of her being Barry's intern? No. Is anything going to come out of her doing anything else this episode? Much? Not really.
Yes.
Only 2 scenes would. The opening scene, where they're discussing the newspaper article about Barry being missing for 25 years, and we may as well move on to it, when she basically saves Barry from Cicada by making him freeze and hesitate.
Yeah.
And arguably, those are the only 2 scenes. We'll go back to Cicada a bit after we finish discussing this bit. Arguably, those are the only 2 scenes where she does anything of real importance in this episode. I think overall the episode was very slow anyway.
So, basically, it's our podcast, and you're the Nora.
I'm saying it's forced, right? Not because... Well, I'm saying it's slow and forced, not because I didn't enjoy it. There were certainly very enjoyable elements in there. I'm just thinking for a second episode in a season for any TV show, nothing should be as slow as this was.
Oh yeah, slow.
Nothing in its second episode into a season or into a series should be as slow as this episode of The Flash. I think that's probably my biggest problem with it.
It's because it's like an anti-season The Flash. It's so slow.
They hit the ground running with the first episode and they made this very good impression, but then this episode comes along as being probably the most forced.
Yeah, that's the thing though. So you're regarding this as a little stumble, yeah?
My opinions on the episode are just that it was slow and nothing of major importance happened up until the end.
Yeah, but what I'm getting at is you could call this episode a little stumble. They hit the ground running and they stumbled, yeah?
Arguably, but then if they did stumble, what we need now is a consistent run where the episodes don't feel slow and there can be a couple of forced elements there, like maybe due to the script writing, but they might think that that'll be fine, but it'll be the fan reaction that judges was that bit in the script forced or not. Those kinds of things you can be fine with, you can pass those off. But for the majority of the episode to be slow, there's a problem when it's the second episode in, because they now need to speed up and get a series of episodes consistently right to keep a lot of viewers on board.
Canon?
Yes.
Thank you for those puns yourself. You have become a pun. You've used about 3 puns this episode so far. I hope you're happy with yourself.
I don't even know what those were, but tell me after the podcast. But if you remember, I sent you an article where people are saying how the ratings are dropping.
A lot of ratings dropped from last season anyway because people pick it back up. So
I don't blame them, but also having a slow episode from episode 2, or any episode this early into the season, you'd need at least 5 episodes before you can let something get this slow. And even then, that shouldn't happen more than once. Maybe twice if people are feeling generous.
That's why you're being really unrealistic. 5 different episodes have been amazing.
No, I'm
saying
you need 5 consistent episodes where it's not slow. They don't have to be amazing, but in terms of trying to get the story set up, that's probably what you would need.
Yeah.
Which I think is being completely fair, because, like, for all the shit I gave season 4, largely it kept things consistent for the first run of
it was slow, yeah. Yeah, it was slow at first, but it was consistently slow. It was
consistent with setting up the story, well, quote unquote story. Because for the first 7 to 9 episodes there was a story. After that, fuck you, there goes the story.
Actually, no, because he had to wait really. He had to wait. Oh, they've done this one, they've done this one, they've done this one. Now it's time. Basically, to vote to fucking.
But,
he was a Thanos. He was the Thanos of the DCCW, letting all the other metahumans, lackeys, do the work, and then right at the end, he stood up and did the work himself.
Not very well.
No. Unlike Thanos, who's actually won. The Chad Thanos, the Virgin Devoe.
I don't really know what to think. I'm hoping this was just a one-off, because in this early in a season, you can't afford that. So if ratings go down, or if episode 3 goes slow, I'm very curious how many people are going to pick up the show again after that because they enjoy it, and how many will pick it up just because they don't want to see. Well, they just want to see what happens. That's probably one of the biggest problems. I will say though, episode 3 does look to have a lot more interesting elements, but
oh yeah, a lot. But we'll just. But this time I can actually this time I can actually watch the episode on my other phone. I can actually hotspot this time. So this time on my main phone I can actually watch it. That's fun. Hooray!
I think there's a point in time where what people need to realize is that yes, elements can work, but you need to do those well.
Yeah. Because without the elements, life wouldn't exist.
I think a lot of what didn't work was just to do with, well, one, Cisco in the episode, who is one of the main characters and one of the most beloved, was very bad.
Yeah.
Ralph put in too much comic relief. Nora was arguably just filler for the whole thing, apart from the very beginning and the very end.
Mm.
And everyone else just didn't really look like they knew what they were doing. I'll put it down to scripting issues for this episode because I think that's completely fair. Like, you can have a misstep in terms of the script, especially when you're starting just after the last season has ended pretty much. Let's be realistic.
Yeah.
So, I think I might be willing to forgive where this episode was slow. How many fans will be? How many fans, if episode 3 or another episode has that kind of time where things are going to be as slow or as bland or arguably not as interesting as they have been, how many people are going to pick up after episode 3? Because sure, episode 3 looks interesting and it looks great, but if the teaser for episode 4 comes out and it doesn't look good, are people going to continue watching? I will. I kind of need to watch for the sake of the podcast, but also I want to see what they do this season.
And for your game. And for your game.
And for the game, yeah, but also I want to see what they do with the characters this season. Like, I genuinely would love to see them get every character right. There's nothing for me to moan about besides maybe a few small issues in terms of, like, a character wasn't great this episode, but I can understand why, sort of thing. Repeat that.
What do you want them to see? What do you want to see them do? You cut out on your.
Oh right. I want to see them be able to keep me on board. I would love to see them make it so every character is great. And there's only small things for me to moan about on podcasts when I'm doing the review, like, oh, Barry wasn't great this episode, but that was consistent to the story, so that's fine. Or Ralph was great this episode, but a lot of the lines felt cringy, but he was acted very well. Like, small things like that. But if you were to continue going at the kind of bland pace that they did this episode, and that happens in episode 3, and people watch that and they're just like, you know what, I can't be bothered anymore. Season 4 was that awful, and I've given this show a chance now, and I've given this season a chance. How many people will pick up for episode 4 of The Flash, season 5? Would you? If you weren't doing a podcast with me, would you? Who, honestly, if they kept going at such a bland and boring pace, knowing that even you got pissed off with season 4 and it's on thin ice for you, would you be picking up?
Well, I pissed off much.
No, you weren't. You were more pissed off with the way they did the characters. I was pissed off with pretty much everything. But if you were in my position, I wasn't making. No, if you were in my position, I wasn't making a fan game. I wasn't on a podcast with you. Who I just spoke about it with you privately after each episode came out. Would you? And episode 3 just proved to be very bland, very slow, and we're still coming off the back of where there's a lot of resent for season 4. Would you, in my position, pick up the TV remote or go and watch the episode again after episode 3 if that was as bland as episode 2 was?
Well, I don't know. 50-50 basically, because from your position, if I be in your position, like thinking like you, then I'm absolute dickhead, isn't I? So maybe.
I think for me the position is that I'm willing to. I just want to see them try and give us a good story. Like if things are slow in setting up that storyline, it's not going to go well. Let's move on to Cicada, though, because arguably the point of the episode was to give us a lot more suspense and mystery about him.
We're sailing through this episode, aren't we, really?
No, we're an hour in. Like.
Yeah, but of course we spent like 15 to 20 minutes on the actual
We've still got the theories and Titans. To do.
Yeah.
Because there's not much to discuss from this episode, really, from episode 2, because not much happened.
Yeah.
I'm looking back on it in retrospect, I'm just like, nothing really happened. Nothing in terms of the larger story really happened. They pissed you off with the way they say, hey, cicada, with how they say cicada, but there we go, that's about all they really did.
Ugh. Cicada.
You're not happy about that, but moving on to Cicada.
No.
Arguably, he was.
You son of a bitch.
Arguably, the point of the episode was to build more suspense and mystery around him. I remember you made a joke about him having telekinesis over the dagger last time, which was pretty funny. I think you would.
Really?
Yeah, I think you were just like, oh yeah, I can control. I've got telekinesis. They're just like, oh yeah, what can you do? It's just like, I can move this dagger.
And that's it. That's the power. Moving that dagger.
That's the power. You can move a fucking dagger with the force, basically.
I am the useless.
No, but I've held on to...
Wait. Okay, for you, would it be, my name is Iris West, and I am the useless?
I think she... We'll move on to Iris in a minute, because I think she deserves her own segment for, like...
Oh, fuck. I can't believe you've done this.
In fact, do you want to do her now, and then we'll get on to Cicada?
Well, I'm taken. I wouldn't just do Iris. I know it's fictional, but I'm taken. I know what you mean.
Let's move on to Iris, because what do you think about this episode and the journalist stuff? Does that really amount to anything for you?
Thank you, actually. I'm remembered. Okay, all you people that don't like it, fuck off. She's becoming extremely comic accurate, except for her skin.
It's sad that it took this long, though. Like, arguably, they had it in season 1 and maybe a small part of season 2, but then season 3, he just completely dropped it.
Just.
Basically.
All we say though, I think she was still in the journal. Oh yeah, she's still in the journalism for the beginning of the season. Then she literally totally dropped it after mid-season, after episode 10.
Because
she
why
found
the
out
fuck
that,
not?
Because she found out she was going to die in 5 months.
Yeah, completely drop your job for that. You know, it's not like you need money for bills, food, to survive. Makes complete sense.
No, it does. Season 2, episode 1. Fake Wells, Eobard, gave everything he owned to Barry in that will, yes?
Yep.
All the patents, everything. Star Labs is still making money from all the patents, and they'll continue to hold those patents for long, long years. For at least 10, 20 years, they'll hold those patents. Barry's a fucking rich guy. As a Christmas present, he fucking bought an entire apartment. Remember? And that was
remember that bit. I'll have to go back and have a look. But then again, this was about 2 years ago, nearly. So
3. It was season 2, episode 1. That's 3 years ago.
It was It was definitely in episode 1 that he bought the apartment. Okay.
No. He bought the apartment in season 3, episode 9.
Yeah, so it's like nearly 2 years ago that he bought the apartment. That's probably why I don't.
But the will.
I remember the will. I remember the will because
he gave everything he owned to Barry, which means Barry's a fucking rich guy.
Go buy a fucking mansion, or buy your dad out of that shitty suburban house. Buy Joe. Buy a different house for Joe.
Yeah, but they want they still want the razor. So
yeah, but I don't mind that they're making her comic book accurate, but again, she largely felt like filler. Like even the bit where she was uncovering Cicada doing whatever in the smoke.
Well then, the way you voiced that, so she was uncovering Cicada. Fanfiction writers, please do not hit.
Pardon?
Well, you said that she was uncovering Cicada, yeah?
Yeah.
Fan fiction writers, please do not take that the wrong way.
I thought you wrote fan fiction.
No, I do not. You do because you've done nothing with your game.
I have actually written fan fiction in the past.
Yes, so have I.
No, I wrote one. I wrote an alternate take before the season 3 finale. By the way, it was probably a much more epic version. I'll link it to you after the podcast.
Ooh. Wait, that's it. What I'm gonna do?
What?
Okay, did you make a picture for the?
Pardon?
Did you make it? I know. Okay. At some point, you're gonna need to make you're gonna need to make a blank, however long video with the season 3 finale poster, and I'm gonna read your fan fiction. Okay.
You are going to read a fan fiction that I. Fucking
Wait.
hell.
Is it safe? Is it safe for work?
It's safe for work.
Good. Yeah, I'll read it then. And how long
It's
is
only on the final fight scene, to be fair.
No. So what's a 5? Is it not a 5-minute read then?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, so yeah, make a 5-minute blank video. I'll fucking read that. I'll do it. Okay.
I'm not uploading a video where you read that. No,
Okay, I am then.
Not to my channel.
No, on my channel. I say it's this guy's reading Kanan's. Oh my god, BBG. my YouTube channel. Reading Kanan's Joe Temple's fan fiction from season 3, episode 23.
The joy.
Okay, I'm gonna do that now. Whoa, I almost fucking slipped over. Fuck. It's karma trying to get me there.
Back to Iris.
Yeah, flashback to Flash. Flashback to Iris. Same thing though, isn't it?
I don't know, like a lot of her stuff felt like filler. It just felt
You
very
dense-
long
you-
to sit through. I think a lot of
you
the episode
dense
felt
mo-
long to sit through.
You dense motherfucker.
How am I dense?
What's it? Let's flashback to Flash. And then let's flashback to Iris. Oh wait, the same thing, isn't it? They are
Can
the
we
Flash.
just get back to it without your shitty jokes?
Sway.
I don't know, like
Yeah.
a lot of the episode felt long to sit through. Iris's
Yeah.
scenes arguably weren't that long. She wasn't really in it all that much. Like a lot of the
You're grateful. Which you're grateful for, yes.
Pardon? Which I'm
Which
grateful
you're
for.
gra-
I think considering how she was in season 1, I'd have been more than happy to see a little bit more of her, or just her doing.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Guess what? I saw talking about that. So we mentioned about how she's doing more of the journalism thing, yeah.
Yeah.
Someone said like, better after all in season 4. Why was she the team leader? She has no scientific experience. It's like, oh, why was she the team leader? She has no scientific experience. That's the fucking point. Everyone else is useful. So the
Not
useless
her.
one
Even
should
as
be
a
the
team
one.
leader, she
The
was
use.
fucking useless.
Yeah, remember the thing though, even the show itself has proven my point right. You know, a long while back now, people, I said how I said obviously Iris is the only one fit to be the team leader because Harry is obviously he's like the guy that does more technology.
I think it probably
because
would have
this
been
guy-
less than an issue for people, and I say this looking back on season 4 with not very fond memories, but seeing where you're coming from. Well, for argument's sake, I agree with what you're saying, although I do see where you're coming
Yeah,
from.
oh yeah. But by the way, so you agree that Iris was the perfect fit because everyone else was too busy, yes?
No,
And-
I'm saying I see where
Oh?
you're coming from. I'm saying I see where you're coming from. I think it probably would have made more sense for her to be in that position if she were also doing her journalist stuff in season 4 at the same time.
Oh,
That probably would have
Yeah,
made
ma-
it a lot more bearable for
like
people.
like link them together, yeah.
Yeah, probably. Like, I feel that.
However, but by the way, the show has actually proven my point to be correct though.
Well,
My
I
show-
don't really
my-
want to know about that. Can we get back to this episode, please? You've sidetracked us enough.
It's a 2-second thing. When Barry lost his powers and Iris got them, who was the team leader?
Okay, right. You're muted while you say that point. I am now awaiting a phone call which I shall not pick up. But no, moving on to this episode. type yes in Discord if you're actually going to stop fucking sidetracking us, because it's getting fucking annoying. Thank you. Thank fuck. If you say anything about this again, I'm going to fucking mute you again. There we go.
People, this is what I mean. He's fucking as bad as Nerd Vision. For God's sake. I'm not sidetracking at all.
With you, I'm allowed to be, because we're both dickheads to each other.
Yeah, no. But you sidetrack stuff more than me.
Anyway.
We'll take a few deep breaths. We don't got power of same leader. There you go, fucking sake. Fuck you.
Thankfully, you were very quiet for that bit, so no one heard it.
When I got powers, Barry's team leader. Anyway, moving on. Piece of shit.
Yeah, no, like, I think arguably her scenes were very long. Well, they felt long to sit through, but they're actually quite short. But a lot of the time, she is off on her own. And I have said before, I want her to have a storyline away from Barry, which is good because they're giving it to her. That doesn't mean completely put her on her own and have her say nothing and pretty much do nothing of any real value, but it is the second episode, so I'll let it go.
Oh, pardon me. Sorry about that, people.
So I definitely think that there's still going to be a lot of room for improvement in Iris. I feel like they haven't taken a back step with her. She just felt very bland in the episode. Like, she didn't really do anything. Like, all she really did was arguably discover Cicada, but that was of very little consequence anyway, considering they'd have encountered him. That was a very little... Yes.
Considering they wanted him, fought him.
Pardon?
What you said, considering they sat him.
Considering they would have encountered Cicada anyway, like, she didn't really...
They did that exact moment, so...
Yeah, like, even though she discovered him, like...
She didn't discover him, she discovered that he's killing people. Like, killing... That's it. That's what she's realising.
He's basically this show's version of Darth Vader, but with a much shittier mask and costume. Like, it looks cool, but it's not really the best costume they've ever done for a character.
But yeah, it's still better than the comics. But it's still better than the version for look.
Yeah, it's better than the comics version because I've seen that.
An actual costume.
Yeah, it is an actual costume at least. Do you want to get on to the mystery of Cicada for this then? Because do you want to get on to Cicada then for this and get to that?
Well, I won't get on him, but I'll get on to the point of it.
Can you stop it with the fucking innuendo jokes?
But I love innuendos.
I don't! This podcast is meant to be family friendly, or as close as we can get to it.
What?
The podcast is meant to be family friendly, or as close as we can get to it.
Yeah, but we're fucking spelled fucking time, aren't we? We're fucking pieces of shit.
You've sworn more than me in the past 2 podcasts.
Yeah. I was the Captain America to you at one point. Language. And now I'm just... Yeah.
You're just like, I don't care anymore.
Old McDonald has some fucks. E-I-E-I-O. We'll fuck here and I'll fuck back there.
I'm pretty sure you've got Tourette's at this point, to be fair.
It wouldn't surprise me. Actually, no, I can control it. Tourette, people with Tourette.
Anyway. Cicada, good or bad? Out of 10.
From what we've seen of him so far, 9.
9? You're saying a 9?
Only what we've seen so far. What we've seen so far.
From what we've seen so far, you're giving him a 9.
Yes.
I'm giving him an 8 because I've not really seen enough to make a judgment. Combatively, he definitely has a background in that.
Yeah, remember he's there at the beginning of the episode. He was in a fucking gym locker room. He definitely has boxing or some fight.
Or something similar. What did you think about the way he completely decimated Team Flash?
Well, it just proves that they really need to learn how to fight. Barry, he's basically a more advanced version of Ezra Miller, isn't he? He pushes some people, he talks, pushes some people, and runs away.
Unlike Ezra Miller's version, though, is that
He's actually good.
Grant. Well, yeah, he's actually
good.
He's actually good, but also he arguably has brief parts of training from somewhere. He's got it from fighting the girder thingy that Cisco made. He got some from Eddie in the same episode. He's somewhat learned to... Well, he's learned to fight anyway, because you see that from him fighting the Savitar suit when he attempts to kill that Time Remnant, and then the suit throws him off, and you know, he arguably does have combat training.
He's cooler than you.
Yeah. That scene. Arguably, this version of Barry has combat training, but whenever you're trained to fight, there's always going to be someone better than you.
And that's why, with that saying, like, no matter how good you are, there's always someone better than you. That is why I feel so sorry for the worst person in the world, because they're better than no one.
So you mean yourself then, Dylan? Okay,
that's okay. Why you say you're? That's okay. Why you have to say you're fine, but you know we're fine. You don't get into it.
All jokes aside, Cicada's clearly more trained. Well, he knows how to fight more than Barry does, and even then, a lot of the time, like Barry doesn't have that strong sense of training. He only has the training which is effective when he uses his speed. Which, yes, is a big part, but also he has enough to normally do everything else. Like, he's got training from Joe, he's got training from Eddie, he's got training from Cisco, arguably, potentially Oliver. Like, I don't know, maybe they've met up off screen in between seasons or something, and they've trained together and shit. But he's used to applying that to his speed, so makes complete sense as to why he got completely fucking annihilated. But you're the fucking worst person to do podcasts with.
No, actually, I was looking at more information. And of course, as I said last podcast, episode 1, I said, of course, in the comics that he murdered his wife, yeah? About life, yeah?
Yeah, he murdered his wife. You might want to move closer to your microphone, by the way.
Yeah, with the Flash's own energy combined with the other victims, Cicada did manage to resurrect his wife, though his long-term goal was for naught, as he ended up killing her again after it was clear she retained the knowledge of her murder.
he was about as petty as your mother in the comics. He was.
I know, right?
Yeah, but
He's like, oh, my love, I'm so sorry I killed you. Fuck off, you killed me.
Stab.
He's a fucking idiot.
He is.
Comic Cicada is a fucking idiot. At least the one in the show looks like he's a lot more intelligent, but arguably, this is boosting the character's popularity that he'll probably make a return to comics afterwards.
Yeah, probably. Sabotage's going to come back at some point as well. They showed him in the Flash annual in a picture. Showed Sabotage. It's like, But and what do you expect from this Cicada? He's bald and with a long white beard and moustache. He's a fucking bald Santa Claus.
He's
a bald, skinny Santa Claus.
Version of a bald Santa Claus.
He's a bald, skinny Santa Claus.
He's not even a good version either. He doesn't even look good as it, which is the best part.
Okay, so, but of course, the show Cicada is a grizzled blue-collar everyman whose family has been torn apart by metahumans. Cicada now seeks to exterminate the epidemic, one metahuman.
Yeah, which I think they've changed his goals a bit from what they were in the comics, which I'm going to be completely fine with, because they have confirmed, and we had this huge debate last time, which we won't go over again. Like, we'll touch on the points briefly, but we won't we won't go into like massive detail over it. He is pretty much confirmed to be the big bad, and like I said to you last time, even though they are doing different arcs for the shows, I believe they Well, they
himself.
are.
Oh, unless Sakad himself is the metahuman who tore his own. Yeah. Ugh.
That is accuracy for CW.
Todd Helbing spoke about it. He said, "We always take these villains from the comic and put them through the flash blender for our show. Yeah, because you fucking tear them apart and make them bad." And so he did that this year. He's not so much a cult leader, but his powers sort of present a challenge for Team Flash that they've never had to deal with before. His powers so he negates their powers, and they've never had to deal with that before. Season 1, Season 2, Season 3, Season... Yep, they never dealt with it before, have they? Never. So much.
They
Never.
dealt with it briefly in season 4 and in season 1. When did they do it in seasons 2 and 3?
Okay, Season 1, he lost his powers in episode 7, but
Yeah, I remember that one.
Season 2 was episode 20. They tried to get his power after he lost in episode 8.
And episode 7 for that as well, because he barely has his powers after being
Really?
beaten up by
Episode
Zoo.
7? Oh yeah, but he didn't lose his powers, remember, he was healing. That's not really losing his powers. But yeah, he gave up his speed force in cells to Zoom, so he lost his powers then. And then season 3, episode 21, he lost his powers then because he forgot who he was. But I forgot when it was in season 4. He did lose him at some point. I can't remember when.
I mean, you could argue it was whenever he was held down with that shitty gravity power that DeVoe had.
No. I'm pretty sure he lost. That's it, episode 16, remember? When he lost his powers.
Oh, yeah.
How did we forget that? How did we forget that?
I think the point that the producer was trying to... I think the point that the producer was trying to make with that is that it's never happened to all of them at once in the way that it's happened. Which arguably is true.
Wait, let me look at the quote again. Yeah, Team Flash. Yeah.
But, I've held on to the belief that he has the power to use lightning from his dagger, which I'm not sure if you agree or not. But I do think there's definitely a possibility of that.
By the way, that means there's his power.
Oh shit, you've cut out again. Dylan, why do you not just use your normal phone? You're an idiot. Ladies and gentlemen, I will search for a new podcast co-host for the next episode. I promise. Because Dylan is the worst.
Hello?
There we are, you're back.
Hey. Yeah.
Move closer to your microphone.
I was there. It cut out for a minute. Don't know why. But yeah, they said his powers, and that confirms he's a metahuman, yeah?
Yep.
Which means right at the end of the season, we could be dealing with an Adrian Chase situation where he just fucking kills himself.
Oh, so you finally looked into something to do with Arrow. Because
Say that again.
Excuse me, say that again. You brought on from last time on our last attempt of doing the podcast that Cicada is the big bad. He's probably just going to take a back seat for a good few episodes.
Well, what happened in Arrow season 5? You had Adrian Chase in the first couple episodes.
He appeared for the first time in episode 3, but he wasn't revealed as Prometheus until episode 15.
Wait, in episode what? You cut out in episode what?
He appeared in episode 3 as Adrian Chase. Prometheus came along briefly in a few episodes. He didn't really do much until episode 6, but after that he took a back seat again for a while and was just sort of there in the final moments, the quote-unquote post-credits, if you will. And then finally...
That's basically like the Wells endings.
The biggest part he played was in episode 9 for a while. He was in episode 9, the mid-season finale of Arrow last season. Season 5. He did that. And then he was in episode 10, after that, he's on a backseat until pretty much episode 15. But he was still the main villain.
Well, yeah, duh, because he's the one in the last episode.
Yeah, but the point is, you've sort of listened to me in saying that they'll probably get Cicada to take a backseat for a while until... I'm saying
Yes,
episode
because
10 to episode 15.
yes, because basically Arrow and Flash are basically the same show with different stuff.
You
but
finally
plot
listened to
and
what I
stuff.
was saying then, that Cicada is the main villain, he's just taking a backseat. Can you just say that I was right, please?
Wait, is that again? You cut out.
Can you please just say,
I'm fine.
since you finally listened to me, that I was right?
Listen to you about what?
That they'll put Cicada on a backseat for a while.
Oh, possibly.
Well, I mean...
But the thing, because I've seen the evidence. There is evidence. There is a precedent for it. There is precedent for it now with Adrian. So maybe.
I mean, like, I think Cicada...
Wait. That's only if they find out about Thomas Hirsch in the next couple episodes. Then they're like, yes. And of course, speaking about Thomas Hirsch, what's your theory on
Okay,
Caitlin's
so
dad?
I saw a theory over when I was doing image research for the first attempt at the podcast on Wednesday. I came across the theory that Cicada is Caitlin Snow's father.
That would be big if true.
I mean, like,
By the way,
what would you say to that? Because you never really gave me your honest answer last time on.
I said, yes, I fucking did, you fucking liar.
Well,
I
not
said
in
it.
detail. Not in detail.
Well, no, I can't really say much in detail, really. There's not really much to say. The core of it is because that means he'd have to end up killing his own daughter to further his goals of killing all the metahuman.
Because, like,
including himself.
you then blended the theory into the fact that her father has been gone for a while. He's going to appear in episode 6, The Icicle Cometh.
Well, we presume so anyway.
Yeah.
I mean,
But
by the
also-
way, yes, I rewatched that scene with Ralph. Yeah, it is Cameron Markant. That is how it's said, Cameron Markant. So, and in the comics, the second Icicle Junior, is called Cameron Markant, who's the medical examiner who signed off on the fake death certificate, which is obviously who obviously never existed in that, except Caitlin's mother, revealed to be the one who did the death certificate, is probably going to know a Cameron Markant, or someone called Cameron, someone else called Markant, or something like that, and put the names together, and someone else, maybe Caitlin's father takes that name on, and becomes Icicle. He was Icicle, and then now he uses that name as an alter ego.
I'd be very interested to have him be Cicada because it would be a very interesting dynamic. Like, what I really want... I think the best villains are the one who have this personal connection, or they have this very personal
Saboteur.
relationship. Yeah, this very personal relationship with the people they're trying to hurt. Like, arguably to the point that you could even sympathize with them. I think those are the best kinds of villains.
Saboteur. Oh, it's like my girlfriend. She fucking hates Saboteur. It's like, but he's the biggest victim of season 3. How can you hate him? Unfortunately, she missed episode 20 and episode 21 of season 3. She's having to rewatch him in a couple of days, or naturally she might be able to watch him yesterday. The point is that she's gonna be able to see those 2 episodes at some point. So she's gonna see the reason
I
that
can't
Saboteur
lie,
became what
because
he is.
in episode 21 of season 3, I was just like, okay, this is filler, so I'm not like a huge fan of what they're doing. So I don't think I watched the majority of that one.
What, episode 20?
Episode
21?
21 of season 3.
Yes, I don't think you did actually, did you?
No, I watched like the first 5 or so minutes.
Because
Just
was
like,
was,
yeah, no, this is gonna be a cringe fest. I'm out of here.
yeah, because you told me about that when we started talking a few months later. You told me about it. I was like, you fucking what? You fucking what, mate? Didn't I? Remember that? I was like that. I was like, how the fuck can you skip it? That was a good episode.
I just can't handle cringy humor, but like.
I remember.
Yeah.
I remember everything.
Arguably, that's the only good. Barry should have just kept his memory erased, and then they could have just walked in, got Savitar out of the suit, and just stabbed him, and they'd have been done.
Let's this son of a bitch. Oh, fuck, it's got on his face. I forgot about that. Never mind. Fuck this shit, I'm out.
Fuck this shit, I'm out. No thanks.
No
Fuck this shit,
thanks.
I'm out.
No thanks, yes.
Shit, I'm
They're
out.
good.
No thanks, don't mind me. I'ma just pack this stuff and leave. Fuck this shit, I'm out. Doom.
And no thanks. Yeah, that's all I know. That's all I know of it. All I know of that song is fuck this shit, I'm
Yeah,
out.
that's
No
all I know.
thanks.
That's all I know.
Yeah, and that next part. There you go. There's your second weird
Duet.
attempt at a duet.
But no, those are the best kinds of villains. I'm hoping that they do go along with that, or they make him have some sort of personal connection to the Flash. But
Yeah.
also something else I've really held on to, and say your thoughts on this because you've not really listened to it properly yet.
Oh, what?
Is that he has lightning powers through the dagger? Like the dagger arguably could have been or will get struck by lightning. Could have been or will get struck by lightning. And then he's going to be able to channel lightning powers through that dagger. Which arguably makes him much more of a threat, which will elevate him to the full-on big bad status. It's not very likely. It's not very likely. But
I didn't actually know he had powers until just now, actually. Like a few minutes ago. I didn't know he had powers before then. It was like, oh, he does like get powers.
You went very quiet. I didn't know a word of that.
Well, literally, up until a few minutes ago, I didn't actually know he had powers. Well, I know he'd probably have the immortality, but they said powers.
Yeah, so I'm thinking
Yeah.
it's kind of like a Thor.
I know what's gonna happen. I know what's gonna happen. I know what's gonna happen. They're gonna accidentally kill him at some point, and he's just gonna get back up and be like, "You thought it'd be that easy," and walks off.
Yeah, they're probably gonna do that.
Oh yeah, calling it. If they actually do that, come back to this podcast, people. If he says those exact words, then Bob's your uncle. I don't care if you don't know Bob. In which case, Rob's your uncle. In which case, Rob's your uncle. You know, my building manager. The one that you get along with him a lot.
You really think I'd get on with him? I've not spoken to him.
Yes. I think I'm a dickhead.
I mean, I have a common denominator, so.
So did Phil.
Yeah, I know, Phil, my good buddy.
You're just like, well, thanks a lot. You're meant to be on my side.
You live one door down from me, you fucking cunt. You meant to be on my side.
But moving on to this, I feel like this is a Thor Ragnarok situation where he needs the dagger to be able to channel those powers of lightning, because otherwise he's going to severely injure himself doing so. And maybe that's why he needs the mask, and that's why he's got this raspy breathing thing, and why he's so... Yeah.
Imagine if somebody's like...
Well, could you imagine that, though? Because he could have used these lightning powers when his family was, quote-unquote, torn apart by metahumans, and end quote.
Himself.
And he could have really injured himself, and that's why he needs the mask, because it's clear that he needs that to somewhat help him survive periodically.
Yeah, because he has got scars now.
He has got a lot of scars, so I think there's some evidence towards it. The biggest piece of evidence.
Oi! But
I'm
that's
not finished
implied to be.
explaining my theory. The biggest piece
It's
of
implied to be from Gridlock.
Yeah, it's implied when he's fighting Gridlock. But also,
No, it's implied to be from when he fought this Gridlock, because Gridlock grabbed his shoulder where one of the scars are, and remember Gridlock had lightning course over him.
Yeah, so maybe he's got his powers from that. But I think the biggest piece of evidence.
No, he had powers before that, you idiot.
Let me finish explaining the theory. The biggest piece of evidence that he's got these lightning powers is, by the way, it's probably Speed Force lightning. Because of this. Do you remember the Comic Con trailer from the?
Yes, I do. Remember, he
went into that abandoned building. He put the dagger down on the table, and then lightning starts coursing into it.
Into the dagger. I don't think that's an abandoned building. I think that's his old house.
Yeah, so he goes into the building, wherever it is, and lightning starts to course into the dagger. I think that's Speed Force lightning, and he either got struck by a Speed Force lightning bolt and he's now got the power to shoot the lightning. I don't think he's got the power to run really fast. Or at least not to the Flash's level. I think he could run faster than normal people.
Remember. Can't he runs as exactly as like Barry. He runs exactly as fast as the plot needs to be.
Yep, that's true.
By the way, speaking about that, remember how Barry searched through the entire Star Labs, yeah? In when he tried looking for Caitlin in season 3, episode 18.
Briefly.
Yeah,
Again, I've not gone back to that in a long time, so...
Yeah, I know. Neither have I, really. And you say you're on photographic, man. You fucking... Well, obviously, we thought it was a bit lazy. It's like, okay, we know he's fast, but he couldn't search through the building that fast, right?
Yeah.
Well, he never found the lounge, did he? So...
No, so she probably could have gone out through there, unlikely as it is, because she didn't know about
No, she went outside the building. Like, it was suddenly all snowing and that. But no, what I'm getting at is you could chalk that up to Nora, but at that point she hasn't changed anything, has she? Actually, because
No,
what
she hasn't,
she
because
did, she hasn't changed anything big for labs. She's changed the satellite, yes. Well, but that's all she's changed really, and that and the stuff after. But the lounge happened before that, so Barry didn't even search for the entire building like he said he did. You fucking liar, Barry! You fucking piece of shit!
How's that relevant to the current theory we're discussing?
Because it's about being speed. It's like he's so fast he can't set the whole building.
Oh, about, you know...
He didn't find
the
that.
shit. No, I think he's got, like, the power to shoot lightning from his hands, but he needs the dagger to be able to do it, or at the very least to channel it. It's like Thor's hammer from Thor Ragnarok when he loses that. He's only able to tap into his powers for a while. Because he does not know how to use them without using his hammer. And so part of the film is he is learning to do that.
By the way, you muted Daka.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm just having to explain to him. Well, that's kind of the only way I was able to get Kanan to let me.
And so yeah, that's basic. So that's my theory on it basically. What do you think of that? Do you think that's possible? Do you agree with it? Come on, give us your thoughts.
Possibly. I mean, the Speed Force seems to be quite lax in this show, doesn't it? So
It's
quite
lax. It's
possible.
lax anywhere. Let's be honest. It's lax as fuck in the comics. It's lax as fucking this universe, and it's very fucking relaxed in the DCEU because they haven't done shit to explain anything in there yet.
But at least in the comic, tries to keep some sort of.
It's a lot more consistent, arguably, in the comics as well, though, isn't it? It's arguably a lot more consistent in the comics. Which
It really is. It really
makes
is.
a very big difference. Whereas in this, they've taken a lot of liberties in the way that they've done it, because, you know, like, I don't think you had anything like time wraiths in the comics, did you? Or if
No, as far as I'm aware, no.
yeah, so the time wraiths are a fairly new addition, and they're like what?
Yeah, they really are. Like time limits, they are actually new.
Yeah, so they're new. So
Well, no, they're not new. They're not new concept.
but they're only
Thorn
now,
has remnants.
They're only now.
Thorn
being,
has remnants in the.
Yeah, they're only now
things,
being
yeah.
brought into like the mainstream parts of the comics as well.
No. Well, time waves. There's still nothing to do with them. But no, Thorn did have remnants throughout the timeline. Of course, the show named it, so they're probably going to adopt that. It timeline.
No,
A remnant.
I wouldn't be surprised if he had some sort of lightning firing powers. It might not be to do with the Speed Force. I'm only saying it's because there was multicolored lightning that went into the dagger and sort of fused with it. And so maybe that's where he gets it from. Because they've said powers as in plural, so I think that implies that he has got something that makes him a lot more of a threat than just being able to telekinetically fucking control a dagger. Like, oh yeah, I've got telekinesis. That's just like, oh yeah, sure, something.
Okay. I'll be the interviewer. Say, Mr. Hirsch, what's your power?
I'm telekinetic.
Really? Well, what can you do with that telekinesis?
I can move a fucking lightning bolt dagger that I've got as a souvenir here of the Flash.
What else? And what
So I do think there's a lot more implied to what he can do than just that. Because otherwise it would be otherwise, like, sure, he's arguably the only thing he's got over them is, like, he can disable their powers with the dagger. They can't lift it, and he's a lot more combat experienced than them. But get Barry to train like a motherfucker for the rest of the season, and then you're pretty much a match.
Suddenly we'll get Barry. We'll train him on. Dun 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 dun. It's the eye of the tiger. It's the feel of the rising up to the challenge of Cicada.
No, but
Rising up to the challenge of your rivals.
Anyway,
Rising up
moving on.
to the challenge of Cicada.
Is there any other sort of theory or anything you want to discuss on Cicada? Or should we just move to I don't think there's anything more I have to say on him, but I could be wrong.
Oh yes. Actually, I haven't reset my theory.
Okay, well, make sure you're not cutting out and make sure you're close to the mic while you say it.
I read a little while ago, you guys. Takada's family was ripped apart by yeah?
Yep.
Well, because, as we know, when Nora shouted Dad, when Sakara was about to kill Barry, he literally turned and stared at Nora before getting off of Barry and walking.
That's probably the most important thing besides saying his name that she did in this episode.
She says his name, does she? She says title.
Well, no, she says Cicada, and Barry just turns and he's like, "Who's Cicada?"
Who is
End
Cicada?
Of the episode.
Yeah, I fucking hate it's called Cicada. But yeah, of course, he froze and looked at Nora, got off.
There's definitely a look of familiarity in those eyes as well, because I was always thinking when they announced him and they announced Nora being there as a big part of the season, that there was definitely some connection. Like, I was originally thinking they'd force a lot in the future.
But then how would he recognise her? As far as we're aware, he can't time travel.
I think it's probably to do with her breaking time. Like, she may have brought him back with her, or at the very least, he's got some sort of set of memories because of what she has done. Because obviously, that ripple from breaking the time barrier.
Kanan, be quiet for a second. Thank you for saying that. Okay, also, Cicada in the comics killed his wife, yeah? Regretted it, tried to end his own life, yeah? End his own life. The Keystone City native was struck by bolt lightning, which presented him with a vision of his own immortality, as well as the foreknowledge that his wife would be resurrected one day. He knew what's happening in the future, so they can easily use it.
Yeah, so probably due to, like, time distortion, that has come along and played a part here as well.
No, he could just see.
You're very quiet. You need to move closer to your microphone.
He could just be like Cisco, know in the future a little bit. So, yeah. But no, I don't think it's familiarity. I think it's like, oh shit, or maybe it is not in recognizing her.
It's very vague familiarity, probably, because, like, if he has got those memories, he'll probably be aware of this person is a speedster, this person is a threat, but she looks vaguely familiar to me. Like, I must have fought her in the future or something. Maybe he does have those visions as well. Maybe he has those. Maybe that's one of his powers.
I don't think it's that. He was a father, yes?
Yep.
Well, not confirmed, but he had a family. This family is ripped apart by metahuman.
He was about to kill a metahuman, but then another metahuman came along and shouted, Dad. So then he knew he was about to rip a family apart, just like happened to him.
Yeah, but also, this is something you said last time, is that you were hoping there was going to... Microphone. You were hoping there was going to be a lot of conflict in him this season as well. Which I think will be a very interesting part. You've cut out.
He doesn't want to have this family.
You're very quiet.
of course, he's not going to want to have to kill Barry, but he's going to make a choice. And that's what's going to sit with him as a struggle. It's like, yes, I need to kill him, but he's a father.
What the fuck
He's
do I
a
do?
kid.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
yeah, because he's just like, holy shit, what the fuck am I gonna do now? Fuck it, I'm walking away from this shit. I need some time to decide.
Wait. So the first thing I'll do, I thought,
You're very quiet.
Yeah, because it was like, this teenager just shouted, "Dad!" So the flush is that weight. I thought the flush was in his 20s. Boy, did you not use protection in your teens? Suddenly, Cicada teaches Barry the birds and the bees. Okay, and this is how you put a condom on. This is so make sure you put a condom. Make sure you put a condom on.
You know what? Because of
Wait.
how ready that was, I'm gonna let that slide. But I'm thinking because they've said powers, it does imply that he's had one of the possibilities to there being a look of familiarity, something similar that could come.
Yeah. As you said, vague familiarity. Yeah, vague.
Yeah, vague familiarity. Like he's seen
So
the future and he's seen himself.
It might not be. He might not be familiar with her, but he might be familiar with this situation. Maybe his own daughter was killed by Maitland in front of him.
I was going to say, like, it's probably to do with he may have seen himself fighting her in the future, but when she came back and broke time, because it's been confirmed that she's done that pretty much by Nora herself, then some of those ripples from the time barrier will have given him those memories, and maybe she's done something really personal to him, but he wants to try and say, I'm better than you. So he's a villain with a lot of conflicts and a lot of emotions.
and like Eobard.
You're cutting out and you're quiet.
Like Eobard said, paradox. Break the sound barrier, and there's a sonic boom. You broke the time barrier, Flash. Time boom. Ripples of distortion radiated to that point of impact, shifting everything just a little bit, but enough.
Yeah, so
Enough of it to happen slightly differently.
What's happened here, that arguably you could say Nora's family apart by doing that.
Say that part again.
Arguably, like, I won't put this forward as a theory, but I'll end the subject with this question. What if Nora was the one who ripped his family apart by doing the time travel? And we'll leave that there and debate that next time, when we know a bit more about him, having seen him in the third episode. We'll leave that there until we've seen him in the third episode and discuss that then.
Yeah, obviously not the Elseworlds.
That was very quiet.
Like with the Elseworlds poster, my first thoughts on that, unlikely, but of course
Unlikely, but possible. But we'll leave that there until we've seen more of it in the in the next episode.
as long as you don't skip any scenes, episodes.
He's mad because I skipped stuff to do with Cisco.
Yes, I don't think.
Even though you kind of let that go last time.
I can't blame him, but you got to stop doing that. Canada important.
I'll say one thing about the next episode though. It does look great.
Does
look great.
not for Cisco.
Only thing I'm a little bit iffy on is the fact that they're bringing in a walking Sherlock Holmes reference.
Yeah, but okay, you said the next episode looks great, yeah?
Yep.
Well, not for Cisco, it doesn't.
Cisco deserves a bit of a beatdown after being all mopey last time and getting drunk off of champagne.
Was that beat? That wasn't a beatdown. No, he literally got stabbed in a. Wait. 1 minute.
He got stabbed in the back.
Yeah. Oh, remember, we watch it again, won't we? We're fucking idiots. Oh wait, do you remember?
I pretty much remember it. Like we didn't really see much. They said how he's a vicious serial killer. They brought in the walking Sherlock Holmes reference for the season to track him down and discover who he is and catch him. Apparently.
I'm Sherlock Wells. Here to catch.
And I'm just looking at Tom Cavanaugh. I'm just like, you would not be out of place. Like you are looking too fucking similar to Robert Downey Jr. for me to be comfortable with this.
Do you want Wells to become? Do you want Wells to become Godspeed then?
What would you think of that?
No, I want Robert Downey Jr. to be Godspeed. Robert Downey Jr. or no one.
It depends if they have Tom Cavanaugh grow a convincing enough beard.
Robert Downey Jr. or nothing. Remember, they got Tom Felton, so they could get Robert Downey Jr. And Robert Downey Jr., remember, his life story in real life is basically what happened in the Iron Man films and all that over the MCU. He's become a much better person all these years. So maybe he'd even accept a lesser pay just for because God, we wouldn't be in it constantly, would he? He'd be in it every now and
Do
then.
you know how much he was paid for Avengers Infinity War alone?
What?
$50 million.
Wow, that's not much really. What he can get. Jesus.
No, that's how much
Oh,
his
yeah.
net worth is.
Oh, okay. But the other day, this morning, I saw a post on Instagram saying, "Oh, this Chris Pratt was paid $10 million more than his female extra, is because he's a man." Some caption it saying, or wait for it, maybe because he's the main star of the TV of the movie. It's like the main star gets paid $10 million, and the extra doesn't. Yeah, it's probably because he's the main star.
Well done, you fucking idiot.
I know, right? That's what I was thinking. I was like,
You're just
the
like, Kaden
fuck?
would have a field day with this.
Yeah, we would. By the way, there still doesn't seem to be extended. There still doesn't seem to be an extended.
I've not heard anything, but should we wrap it up, or is there anything else you want to say? Because
Wait, just one moment, please.
oh boy, is this relevant to the
So is that-
podcast or not really?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
There is an extended promo.
Oh, we're watching
Yeah.
the extended promo, are we?
Yeah,
What
1 minute
the
is extended. 1 minute
fucking
just
do?
one. Oh shit! I don't send it that promo. 1 second. Share. Yeah, it looks a bit different. Not much though.
For
I don't
whatever
fucking
reason,
tweet
the
it.
extended promos, it doesn't ever look much different, but if you
They add
insist,
stuff in. Okay, there we go. Because my touchscreen insists on me fucking trying to fucking tweet it.
because yay. Mine has a thing for copy link. My phone.
Here you go. What's sake? Here you go. Because it literally says extended this.
Right, I'll watch it.
Thank you. I'm about to watch it now. It's about 10 seconds longer than the last one. Is that right?
He's one of the worst.
Shut up.
We gotta catch this guy
Yeah, you
fast.
too, please.
He's one of the worst serial killers in history.
Sherlock Wells, I'm here to get your killer.
Let's hope we're not too late to save his next victim.
Cisco.
Flash, all new next Tuesday at 8.
The worst.
We gotta catch this guy fast.
He's one of the worst serial killers in history.
Okay, I've just watched it.
That was good. Yeah, there's a couple extra scenes in that. There was a couple
Immediately
extra
catching
bits.
my eye. Lightning on the dagger. Lightning and
Yeah,
dagger.
with Joe. Yeah, with Joe. At one point, you see here, he's about to stab Joe. Yeah.
Yep, that's where I'm at.
Yes. What did you go? back?
He has that look in his eyes again. I'm not sure if you've seen the frame. I'm at it now. You'd have to.
Yeah,
go for
I
seconds.
saw that as well. And it's when he realizes what
He's
is it?
definitely got a conflicting agenda here as well, hasn't he? Because
Yes, it's because he doesn't want to harm the families. That's
he's
what
probably
it
harmed
is.
a
He
lot of
doesn't.
fucking families already. Because he's gone around and
Yeah.
killed people already. You're a fucking idiot. I'm
Yeah,
just
he's
gonna-
like, oh shit. Because in one of the earlier things before season 1 come out, before season 5 come out, in one of the trailers, we see his hands at Joe, but Joe's already tied up. So I reckon there he's untying Joe because a couple of seconds beforehand you see him pick up a blade.
Just cut
So
through the
he
bonds with
plays-
the dagger. Easy as. Instead of just taking care of the rope. But no, I do like the look of that. Like,
Yeah, that could be risky, the lightning and all that.
yeah.
So I reckon,
I'm liking the look of that. They show it off twice. So it'll be interesting to see what happens.
he's like, shit.
He
Because
is.
he can beat so many people up. So he's not worried. He's not even worried about policing that, is he? He fucking beat the policeman up anyway
Yeah.
already. So he's not worried about policing.
I think we'll get
So-
introduced to his alter ego, but they won't find out for a while
Yeah.
who he actually is, because they need to
Yeah.
keep this version of Wells around for of the entire season because Tom Cavanaugh is contractually obligated to be there for an entire season.
But no, as a brief rundown, what I reckon is going to happen in that scene is, was he back? Yeah.
Look, we'll save it for
Season
next time. We'll save it for next time and sort of discuss it then.
Prediction.
Anyway, everybody, because we've been going for pretty
Kanan,
much
stop
2
right there.
hours- Because we've been going for
Wait,
pretty much...
no, we haven't.
We
oh my
have
God,
been
we
going for
have.
pretty much 2 hours, actually.
Okay, this is my prediction, and I want to do it. Otherwise I can't really say I predict it, can I? But people can be like, oh yeah, sure, you're saying that. I reckon Cecile freaks out. He sees, oh shit, realizing he's a husband. He sees the baby blanket, realizes Joe has a family. Then he unties him and walks away. That's what I reckon will happen. Calling it.
Fair enough, then.
Thank
we
you.
have been going for 2 hours, people, which
Yeah.
probably makes this the longest podcast on record, I think.
Actually, no. We did one about just over 2 hours before. This is rough about same, if not a little bit shorter. We started this at 10 p.m. UK time on Saturday the 1st of October.
It's now 2 minutes past midnight.
It's now 2 minutes past midnight, 22nd.
Just over 2 hours. So yeah. Thankfully though, this will be uploaded on the same day as normal. Kanan, upload this when you get up in the morning, because remember,
I'll probably make sure the audio is all right and upload it overnight. Because
that's fair, even better. I've got an even better idea. You start uploading it, and then you go to bed. There we go. It'll be up. It'll come out a little bit earlier than usual, but oh well.
Yeah. Thank you everybody for watching this podcast or listening to it if you've had us on in the background for who knows how long.
Have a
we'll see you
good
on
day,
Wednesday, I guess.
evening, night, whenever.
Yeah,
And we'll
have
see
a
you on
good
Wednesday.
Day, night, evening, or even morning, and as always, peace.
May the Speed Force be with you. Peace.